Good morning. When we reviewed the case of St. Martin, one of the things we wanted to focus on was not necessarily just the problems as they were stated within the case, but to understand what the individual problems would arise as far as resolution when you make decisions in trying to solve them. In normal corporate America, we look at the concepts of management and what management does, and typically addresses problems from the management level down. It impacts the employees. Potentially, those decisions can impact consumers. And if it's an industry within a regulated industry, it would impact what the regulators may think of your management decisions. When we look at St. Martin, the decision process goes further down because the administration makes a decision, the educators are equivalent to employees elsewhere. The students themselves are an extra avenue of concern that you have to consider when you make decisions. You have to consider their parents as well. You further have to consider the community with it's in. And in the case of St. Martin, since the program revolves around corporate sponsorship to support the tuition and the very existence of the school, those elements had to also be considered. We looked at key issues as far as what was really happening at the school. Some of those highlights are student-related tardinesses. Out of 211 students total in the student body, there were 2,390 tardies. 25% of the class that was expected to graduate did not do so due to academic deficiencies. There was a lack of ownership by the teachers who were electing to blame the students for the failures of the school and the process in itself. And there was high turnover teacher. 4 to 5 average teachers were being replaced on an annual basis. One of the additional concerns was the lack of follow-up to recurring issues to determine or to prevent them from happening again. In the circumstance as we viewed this, there's a survey in the back of the case study that was conducted during the summer of 2008. One of the interesting elements of this is that only 2 out of the 8 inquiries within the survey had a positive response, meaning that the response was greater than 50% in the positive. One of the most notable ones is the belief that the school policies that were published were administered fairly and consistently. Also of concern was the level of morale or lack thereof indicated by the results of the survey. Additionally, there was a belief that they are not kept well informed, where 25% of the educators responded that they felt that they were well informed at any given time. We tried to draw a linear path between this element and the case that was provided to us, the narrative of the Workshop of Leadership by Ronald Heifetz. His study goes into 6 elements that support how you have an adaptive environment for change management. Since the objective here is an empowerment of the administration and the staff at St. Martin, we tried to bring those 2 things together. As my colleagues will explain later, they will create the draw between the 6 elements that we dissected and how we ultimately concluded what would be the best courses of action to resolve this. In Heifetz's paper, he discusses that these elements are: get on the balcony, which means to overview and look over everything and all the problems in the situation consistently from a 30,000-foot level. Identify the adaptive challenges. In this case, we find that there's more than one adaptive challenge. There's adaptive challenges because you need changes in the administration, which they bring in. You need changes within the educators, so they start owning the process. And we need changes within the student body to be responsive and respective of the rules and supportive of those rules. There's another element that discusses regulating distress. Here we feel there's multiple channels of distress because any change implemented by the administration would not only impact the educators, it would impact the students, impact the parents, potentially impact the community, and also impact the corporate sponsors. We need to maintain a disciplined attention. This is critical in its very nature, where this is, in essence, a responsibility of the educators. We need to give work back to the people. In this circumstance, the work to the people would be bifurcated between the educator and the students. As I previously mentioned, the problems stratify not only the educators, but the students' moral level or spirit to being in the school. And that will further go far in the essence that we give them charge and responsibilities for their futures. Protecting the voices of leaderships from below. I think this survey specifically did that. I think the element of them going and having a survey of the faculty and saying, hey, what do you think the pain points or the problems are at this time? And considering the feedback and trying to address these in a hierarchical manner is important. At this time, Todd will take over the remaining portions of this element of discussion of the entry and present to you the overall views as how we have as high-level preliminary corrective actions.